the social skills in the brain are getting smaller and smaller.
Hi, I'm Raihan Salam. Today, Vice meets Shosh Shlam, the co-director of Web Junkie. Shosh, tell us about Web Junkie.
Web Junkie is about the dark side of the internet, as I call it. It's in a military base south of Beijing, in a rehab center. China is the first country in the world to declare internet as an addiction, and they opened more than 400 rehab centers, and I shot the film in one of these rehab centers that it's south of Beijing. Children are tricked to come in. Their parents are giving them sleeping pills, and when they wake up, they found themselves behind bars. They are going through a treatment that takes 4 months. They are going through therapies, lectures, medicine, antidepressant pills, and in a very strict military discipline. I followed 3 children from the day they came till the day they left. I followed them and their parents and their relationship. And this is the film about.
Did you have any relationship to China prior to making this film?
No. I began this journey because I was not brought up to internet. I don't belong to the, internet generation. I'm very concerned about how internet changed our human relationship. I think that the technology in general became the architect of our intimacies. And we think that we are more connected, but I think in the same time, we created a new solitude. The fact that the boundaries between the virtual world and the real world are blurred brought me to go out on this journey. And I thought if I want to really, bring up this issue, I would go to a place that the phenomena is very extreme. So I heard on the television, Australian television news, that one of these children was beaten to death in one of those camps, one of these camps. So I thought that China is the place. So I went to China. I tried to find this camp, and I couldn't. You cannot open internet in China and search, and you will find it. So I went home very frustrated, but still wanted to make this film. So I went again to China. I found an Israeli journalist that interviewed this Professor Tao. He gave me his information.
And Professor Tao is the gentleman who runs this particular treatment center.
He's a psychiatrist in the military hospital in Beijing. And he's the one to open the first center. And this is the first center. And he's the one to develop the method, his method. And when I came to him, he was very willing to cooperate. But I think that he didn't really understand what does it mean to make a documentary, because many, television crews are coming to interview him. Because China is the only one in the world yet to declare it as an addiction, and an addict will consider a boy or a girl that are using internet more than 6 hours a day, not for a study or work purposes. So he wants his method to be spread out in the world. So I think this is the reason that he opened the door.
So he feels proud of what he's doing. He's an entrepreneur, he's a leader, and he believes that, by sharing this information with the world, he has nothing to hide, that in fact it should spread.
Very much, very, very much. Even that when the film was premiered in Sundance, and I have to say that I didn't have any government permission to shoot this film. So in this case, his condition was that I'll come and I'll live in the center meaning he was sending a tinted car. We have to dress up just to go by the gate of the base and stay there for a whole week. Conditions were very tough, very cold in winter, minus 20 degrees Celsius, no showers. But it had a benefit because we were there day and night. So, a lot of, moments were discovered to us. Yes, of course, he's very proud. And by the way, I began to say that after the film was premiered in Sundance, Chinese government, saw it, heard about it. They wrote about it in their websites. They said the film is very good, but again, the West is blaming us for human violations, and they closed this center.
Fascinating.
I came to Beijing. I met Professor Tao. I asked him, "Are you angry with me? Are you regretting?" He said no. And he even is ready to make with me Web Junkie #2. But he opened another center in another place that I didn't see yet. Maybe next time when I go to China.
And so the thinking is that there were these violations. They shut down this facility on the understanding that these practices would be reformed. And when Professor Tao is opening this other facility, perhaps it'll be run in some different way?
Probably. Maybe he will be more watched. He couldn't join us to Sundance. They didn't let him out. I asked him to come to Hong Kong Film Festival, and Hong Kong is Chinese territory, but they didn't let him either. They were afraid that the press will attack him about human violations.
So tell us a bit more about what exactly happens in the facility. Now, when you're talking about teenagers, often teenage boys, who are spending 6 hours on the internet or more, that is not work or study, oftentimes this is going to be video games. It's going to be multiplayer games in which young people are actually interacting with other young people, learning how to collaborate, accomplishing goals together, doing things, much like the kind of, athletics that other kids take part in or whatever else, only they're doing it virtually. Now, is this the bulk of the kids who are in the facility, kids who are gaming?
Yes, but these kids, they stop functioning. I mean, they drop off school. They don't go to school anymore. They play day and night wearing diapers, not to lose a precious moment in the game.
Is that true for all of the young people in the facility, or is that just a few of the more extreme cases?
No, all of the kids in this facility just drop off school, stop functioning in reality.
So they're not your typical teenager who is maybe losing a bit of sleep or whatever else. These are extreme cases.
Yes, these are extreme cases. And in China, there are two main reasons for this to happen. And it's the one-child policy. And second is the very strict competitive education system. And the parents that are just pushing their children, only to study. It's the only dialogue that they have with them. And this only child is the future of this family. So when the parents are getting the message that he is a failure, this camp is the last chance for them to cure their child. So I met parents very helpless, very broken, very fragile. And the only thing that they want is really to bring their children back to reality. Because when I asked one of the boys, I mean, do you have friends in reality? He said, no, because reality is fake. So the virtual world is an escape for them, because the virtual world gives them heroism. They become heroes in no time, that they are not in reality. And they are very lonely. One of the reasons that they are very lonely. And when I think to take one sentence from this movie is when one of the characters is saying, when I feel lonely, I'm going to the computer and I find another lonely person on the other side. So loneliness, I think, and as I said before, it's one of the, I think, is one of the characteristic era that we are now living in.
When you talk about the one-child policy, so one implication is that because you've had now more than one generation, but of the one-child policy, you have many young people who obviously don't have siblings, but then sometimes they're the children of people who themselves don't have siblings either. So is what you're saying that you have a society that is more atomized, in which you don't have that extended family that would prevent that kind of loneliness, that would be a bulwark against that?
Of course.
So when you're looking at other societies, I mean, you have declining birth rates in many different societies. You have delayed child rearing. You have people who, for a variety of economic reasons, let's say, will choose to have smaller families. Do you believe that you have that same loneliness, let's say, in your native country or in the West or wherever else?
In my native country, and Judaism is there is a commandment to be fruitful and multiply. So Israel is not a country to give an example, but yes, I think that in Europe these days, especially in Germany, and from economic reasons, I mean the families are small, but I mean this phenomena is very extreme in China because Chinese people are more introvert. They are not expressing their feelings much. So, it's exploding, in this area.
Well, one way to think about this is that it's a healthy development when you have young people who are very isolated, and let's say they find themselves in a community, in a school, where they don't find like-minded people. To find other like-minded people, don't you think that could be a different kind of community that could provide them with, some kind of warmth?
Yes. Yes, because they are playing with other, with other children online. But this is the question that I'm asking: is this his relationship? I mean, one of the boys is telling about his first love. His first love was on the internet. A girl that he didn't see. And after 7 months, he goes to look for her. And he meets her. So it's a question I'm asking myself. I mean, is this his love? Is this his real love? Is this his relationship? I am not sure. But I think that we are now in the middle eve of technology, and I think that we are going further. And I think that we will not talk in terms of reality and virtual world. I think that it will be only a virtual world. And then the word, is it real? Maybe will not exist anymore. I mean, but for me, that somebody is telling me that his first love was online, for me, it's very weird and unacceptable. I mean.
Tell us a bit about your experiences with the technology. Earlier on, you said that you hadn't grown up in the internet era, but you've seen it creep up on you, and perhaps you've seen other people in your life who have been raised in this internet era. So tell me about your impressions, the things that kind of informed your thinking as you went into this project initially. What is it that you find in Israeli society, let's say, so alarming about it?
No, it's not because I'm Israeli.
Oh,
I mean,
I just mean in your,
yeah, it's
your
not
kind of
because
own
I'm
context.
Israeli. I mean, by the way, Israeli children from a research that was made in Europe are using internet twice as much as an average European boy.
It's an extremely technologically advanced society, with kind of it's well known for its startups, well known for its technological innovation.
Exactly.
So yeah.
And we have a huge problem of overuse internet, and we have now a problem of very young children that are addicted to porno websites on the smartphone. Listen, of course, to be open to internet and to the benefits.
Have you seen that in your own, among children of friends or what have you? I mean, have you seen this phenomenon up close?
Yes. Listen, it's upsetting. It's really upsetting when a boy tells you that he's addicted to the porno websites, and then he's going on a date, and he compares the girl that he meets to the one that he just met on the website, and she will never be the one that he met on the website, and he cannot develop relationship. I think that it's so sad.
That seems like a particularly extreme example. I mean, would you say that that's common?
But listen, in Japan, they don't date anymore. You know, in Japan, he goes to a restaurant, he puts his virtual woman that he chose on the table, and he's having dinner. It's real. It's real. It's not. I'm not talking about very extreme cases.
So, what do you think we're losing? When you see this, among people that you encounter, what is it about the texture of life that is so valuable?
We are losing emotions, and the professor in the film says these children, they have zero emotions to another person. In being in the virtual world for so many hours, the social skills in the brain are getting smaller and smaller. And he showed me, by the way, the damage on an X-ray. When he showed me a brain of a internet addict and a drug addict, it's the same damage. We are losing, I think, we feel less. Feelings are less expressed. And I'll give you an example. When I talk to you now, I'm taking a risk because I'm not prepared to reach what will be your next question. When I'm writing you an email, I'm the editor. I am the editor. I'm not taking risk. I decide what I write or what I will not write. So in a way, we are not used anymore to take advantages, So everything, and I think, maybe I say it in an extreme way, but I think that the human voice is getting lower and lower. I mean, we don't talk anymore. We just write.
I do sense a tension in what you're saying, and here's the tension. So, on the one hand, you've made a film, a very compelling film, in which you're displaying these practices that are oftentimes actually quite brutal toward these young people. Now, granted, the facility is trying to help them break out of their internet addiction, but you yourself mentioned the kind of human violations that take place. Yeah. On the other hand, so one view is that, look, yeah, they're using the internet a lot. Perhaps they're wearing diapers. Eventually, they'll snap out of it. This is a thing that happens. And to some degree, perhaps, China is using this as an instrument of social control because, the family, this larger culture is shaped by state control, whereas the internet is something that is a new development. And yes, they do control it, but perhaps it's more difficult to control. And so perhaps defining this as a psychological plague is one way of actually exerting control over something that people don't understand. Another view is that this is indeed, Professor Tao is absolutely right, this is a very serious problem, and we need to collectively break out of it. So, I mean, is that a fair characterization? Is there...
Yes, I mean, you are right. Why China is the only one in the world to declare it as an addiction. Of course, it comes from control. I mean, otherwise, the West didn't decide this yet. It just got into the DSM as an appendix. The West didn't decide yet. So, of course, it comes from a policy to control and, and to declare that this is a disease. And if it's a disease, so parents are, they have to be responsible to cure their children, right? But more than this, I mean, the message is that your child is a failure. And the film opens when we ask one of the children that just came in, what did you do? Why are you here? Said, I used the internet. And when he said it,
Seems
everybody.
so innocent, yeah.
Yeah, and everybody is laughing. I mean, because every one of us, use the internet. On the other hand, listen, if it's an addiction or not, I don't think that it's so important because a social phenomena can be an addiction. It's not either way. And from my conversations with psychiatrists in Israel, they said, listen, we have hard time to deal with this issue because a computer became integral in our lives and we cannot take it anymore away. So it makes it more difficult because drugs you take away. A computer you cannot take away anymore. So how you moderate it? How you moderate yourself and your children to use it?
Do you miss the world before the internet became so pervasive?
If
Do you miss, what social life was like before everyone was engaging with a smartphone?
Yes, very much. Because it's not that I'm very romantic. It's because we used to meet people more. And we don't. We don't anymore. I mean, we still are meeting, but less. I mean, and every communication is by email. I mean, sometimes I find myself begging, please give me the chance to talk to you, to use my voice. I mean, because sometimes you are not can be precise enough in writing, and you want to explain more the nuances on what you want to say, and people are ignoring. They will answer you in an email or WhatsApp. Children in Israel, you know what is WhatsApp?
Yes, but tell us about how children in Israel use it.
One of the psychiatrists said that you can find children that they have 10,000 WhatsApp a day. I mean, they can be in the same room and.
But aren't they learning how to express themselves in more specific ways? So, for example, when you think about the way that people use a WhatsApp or other tools like it, they're using emoji, they're using all kinds of subtleties of expression.
What is emoji?
It's basically, this using different text tools to create an image, to create a picture, sometimes an animated picture, which will move around and express a sentiment that sometimes can be difficult to express in words.
Yeah, an image, it's like, instead to say, I liked it, or so you will put a smiley.
Right.
Or,
and some of them are far more involved
yeah,
than a smiley.
I
yes.
mean, come on. I mean,
a dancing rabbit.
Yes. Okay, so it's an era that we speak in images. Fine. I accept it. I mean, I have to accept it. If I like it, no, I don't like it. I want to talk to you as I talk to you now. I don't want to text you, and I don't want to email you. I have more, it's much more interesting for me.
It must have been really odd to be in China. I mean, kind of not having spent much of your life there before and then being completely immersed in this different culture.
It was, and the big barrier was the gap, the cultural gap. I don't speak Chinese. I mean, the culture is very far away from me. It was very hard. And Chinese people, I mean, I fall in love with China. I mean, I have to say, and with the people, even that I don't speak their language. And it's hard to get their way of thinking. Because Chinese, on one hand, they're very warm and open, as the professor opened the door. On the other hand, you don't know what they think. They have the term of face that, and the parents were very ashamed to bring their children to this center. So some members of the family even, they didn't know that there is a problem and they're going to cure this child. They have a face. It's a term that everything has to be, closed and beautifully shown. So sometimes you don't know. And as an Israeli, we are totally different. We are very direct. I mean, we are very direct in our dialogue.
Did you find Professor Tao himself seems to be someone who is very assertive and expressive? I kind of wonder, did he strike you as different from many of the other Chinese that you encountered in the course of making the film? Is he an outlier himself?
In a way, yes. In a way, yes. Because as you saw, the parents in the therapies with their children, they are very limited in the dialogue. And it doesn't mean that they don't have a dialogue. I mean, we don't understand it, but they are very limited in expression emotions. By the end of the film, I mean, the psychologist is telling the parents, please hug your children. They are 16 years old. What does it mean, please hug your children? It's not part of your vocabulary? It was very weird to me. And when I asked Professor Tao, you're not concerned that in a way you break the trust between children and parents, that parents are told to give them sleeping pills and they find themselves behind bars? And he said, no, it's not so awful that they're doing it. For me, it's rule number one, that, the trust between me and my daughter. So he said no. And also to hit, children in the Chinese culture is not also so, it will not be considered as violation. When I'm talking about human violation is to take these children, to give them sleeping pills and to put them behind bars. I think that if it would have happened in America or in Israel, the boy could have, sued their parents and will win.
Do we know anything about how the young men that you profile in the film have been doing since then?
Yes, I mean, two of the children, one of them is in California. His parents got divorced, Hope. And Hacker studies in one of the colleges in Beijing. And Nikki switches schools. He really has a hard time to find himself, in the world, in reality.
So once these young people leave the facility, do they have ongoing treatment?
No. I mean, when I came to visit one of them, I mean, the computer is in the parents' bedroom, and the father has to give permission when to use it. And by the way, Professor Tao claims that he has 70% of success, but we couldn't verify it. We don't know what does it mean. But, the father can control at home, but there are internet cafes all around China. So, and this you cannot control. I mean, and this is very hard. As I said before, I mean, computer became part of our lives.
Given the reticence of Chinese families that you've discussed, did the families object to having their children portrayed in the film?
Yes, we had to get permission from the parents to shoot their children, and some of them didn't agree, especially like the parents of the girls. There are a few girls in the center. By the way, maybe I didn't mention it, that the boys are addicted to the World of Warcraft. The girls are addicted to a play that comes from South Korea, sorry, How Many Husbands You Can Have. And when they got to have 50 husbands, so they were sent to the camp. So we couldn't film without parents' permission. And when I stood in front of the parents as a parent, I really, I think, created trust by saying that I know that they're in a very, very fragile situation, but I think that their story can help other children in the world. So they agree. In the therapy rooms, sometimes I was not allowed to go in, so only the photographer went in. I mean, anyhow, you cannot interfere. You just have to be a fly on the wall. And you know, after a while, they got used to us. So they were not bothered that we are there.
Shosh, thank you very much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
I just want to mention my other, my co-director Hila Medalia and the co-producer Neta Zwebner-Zeibard.
Thank you.
Thank you.